Hey, good morning everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss Pre-Market Report for Thursday, March 1st, 2018. Happy Thursday everyone, and welcome to the new month of trading here. Basically, we have a couple of things on tap here today. First of all, right at 9 a.m. Central, we're going to have the new Fed Chair Powell testifying yet again, and that's going to be something to watch out for. Additionally, later on this afternoon at 3:30 p.m. Central, I'll be hosting my monthly market outlook, and you are free and welcome to join at no cost here. We're going to hang out later on this afternoon, talk stocks, futures. I'll show you a link to that here in a little bit. If you take a look here at the daily time frame of the ES, we've rotated back to the midpoint of the key range. And if you look here, for the most part, we've had this impulse sell-off down to this low. We've bounced back to the mid, came back, did it again, and now we've just rotated off the upper 25% level. We've traded down from the lower, and this was kind of along the lines of what I mentioned initially. This was such a wide range that when we do bounce back to the mid, we're likely going to stay in the middle 50% for a while. Now, that can be very difficult to trade unless you have some short-term directional bias like we've had. But really, as I've mentioned all the time, the edges are where the best trade opportunities occur. That's why this was such a great bounce opportunity. If this thing comes up here, it could be another either continuation to the extensions or a fade back down. If price comes down here, it's either going to extend or it's going to fade back up. So those are the areas where you see the best opportunities. Right now, we're trading exactly at the mid, basically 2703s. We're at 2705 right now at last print, and so right now we're seeing a pullback phase within a short-term uptrending market. Where do we find support? Do we find it a little lower at 2670? Do we find it here? It can be tough to tell. So right now you just got to be a little bit more patient with the ES as it trades around the center point of this key range. At some point here, we'll see some better movement to an edge where we'll get a better opportunity off those key range edges. So what we're going to look at right now is the NQ. For the most part, the NQ looks very similar to the ES, but is basically a little higher up into the key range. If you look right there, that's the key range off the impulse sell-off. Price bounced back to the mid, retested the low and failed, came back to the mid. That's the trade I'm talking about. If it gets down here, that's a great and easy trade most times with a shot at continuing across the range. And that's kind of what we've seen here. I mentioned before that I thought there was high odds that we would reach this FOMC key level. We got it, but we did not get the edge just yet. That's 70.47 quarter. Instead, we've pulled back. So far in this uptrending environment, pullbacks below the 8 period have been buying opportunities. Are we going to see that again? If so, then we will squeeze one more leg to new highs above these highs, and then again, that's a decision point. It's either got to continue higher and see expansion, or we'll rotate back down. So that's a zone to watch. Again, it can be a little difficult in here, but any rejection of this zone below here could be a short-term buy. We'll keep an eye on that formation there. With regards to crude oil, now crude, this one has shown quite a bit of weakness. As a matter of fact, CO inventories was yesterday, and price was selling off at least a good 20 to 30 seconds ahead of the reveal of the data, and this thing really never let up the rest of the day. Continued to show weakness and has now bounced back down. It got within, what, 14 ticks of that 64.38. Got as high as 64.24 within 14 ticks, and it's turned around hard, bouncing back down here below 63. So again, this is kind of goes along the lines of what we talked about before, where we were looking for price to kind of trade in a distribution. So for the most part, you had this distribution I talked about, then price made this move, and breaking down here suggested we were going to come back to this top and then come back up and then perhaps continue to trade a while. And so you've seen that kind of play out a little bit. The first move aggressively higher, almost got our final target, and then we turn around here and we're now halfway down. So again, we got to remember that this thing is building out up here. We're now in our key range and continue to trade in the middle 50%. similar to that ES. Here's that 25, here's the lower 25, and again, that would be considered a neutral key range. That's an energy building pattern that could lead to significant expansion down the road, but we got to let it develop first. All right, let's take a look here at gold futures. We talked about the previous session that gold had more downside potential, and we've been looking at the range from 1365 to 1309. Today we got the move into the downside final target. So with this one, it was a failed new high developing. It closed the day at the mid. Really wasn't emphatic about it, but the flow was still down. On this session here, rejected the 1335 halves, and then led to a stop run day, which again got our 1317s, and now here we are testing prices below the previous month's low. And that's all we talked about before, just taking out this low and coming down into this zone between 1305 and 1310. We've now done that. So this move right here is pretty much complete. Now we have to watch for signs of rejection. Signs of rejection can come in at any point in time, whether it's today or tomorrow. But any signs of rejection here would then signal a return back to 1330, and then follow a move perhaps even as high as the 1360 to 65 zone. So right now, completed the downside move. Now got to be patient and watch for signs of rejection for a rotation back up. All right, lastly, we're going to take a look at Bitcoin here. Bitcoin has been looking pretty decent overall. This one has been pushing higher, and in that up move, we've seen a nice pullback that was also defended. So this one was a nice push higher, strong top and pullback, but just as strong, these bulls came in and defended and have pushed it higher. Yesterday, a little bit of a failed new high. Today, a little bit of a failed new low, but we're kind of right here at the center between two extremes. Again, 9K and 12K are the most important levels on the board right now, and we could see further chop in this area before we see movement one way or the other. Overall, you can see that VPOC has shifted downward. So at first you had VPOC up here. That was around 15 and change. Down here we chopped, dropped, came back and chopped, and now you can see VPOC has come in. So we're basically trading right around value at the moment. And so if value is going to be taking bid, that would be a big story, and you'd be moving back toward this HVN and perhaps higher. This has been a very bearish market overall since the futures came on board, at least. And so if value can't be taken bid, you likely rotate another leg down within this channel. Otherwise, being able to take out that 12,000 again leaves free air, clean air above, back as high as 16,580. So that's a look at Bitcoin right here. All right, really quickly, let's bring up a quick browser here. If you go to PivotBoss.com, go to the news section here. It'll drop you down to join me Thursday for our March monthly outlook. That's today. So if you click on that link, it'll bring up what we're going to be talking about today. This is basically our monthly market outlook that we do every single month, the first trading day of the month. I'm going to cover the futures outlook. I'm going to look at stock scans and prospects. We'll talk crypto, and we'll also talk seasonality indicators and analysis. Additionally, I'm going to provide a PivotBoss Masters tour and Q&A at the end of that session. So if you are looking or interested in joining PivotBoss Masters, we have that special offer, and if you want to attend next week's live training event, then this is the perfect time to join, get your questions answered, and learn more about PivotBoss Masters. If you want to do that, you can click on this button right here, or special offer, and basically that'll take you to pivotbossmasters.com/profits, and you can learn more about the special offer and PivotBoss Masters. All right, that's it for now. Hoping to see you all later on this afternoon. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you soon. Take care.